An expression evaluates into a single value. There are two types of expressions. The first one is an expression that just assigns a value to a variable. In order for a variable to be useful, it needs to be given a value. As you have seen, this is done using the assignment operator. That's the equal sign. When you first declare a variable using the var keyword, it's given a special value of undefined. This changes when we assign a value to it. You can see here I have a variable that I'm calling my color. I'm assigning a value of green to it, and then I'll run an alert just so we can test it. When I test the page, you can see that the alert message now specifies green. The other type of expression is one that uses two or more values to return a single value. You can perform operations on any number of individual values to determine a single value. Here's an example of something that does that. If I create a variable called area and I specify the value to be something like 3 times 3, and then let's just have it display an alert for area. If we save this and refresh our page, you can see that it'll give me the resulting value of 3 times 3, which is 9. Here the expression 3 times 3 evaluates into 9. This example also uses the assignment operator, so the result of the expression is stored in the variable called area. Another example where an expression uses two values to yield a single value would be where two strings are joined together to create a single string. Expressions rely on things called operators. These allow programmers to create a single value from one or more values. Here's a list of some comparison operators. They would be something like equal equal. That sets something that is equal to. Exclamation equal sets something to is not equal to. 3 equal signs together sets something to being identical to. That means it would be equal to and of the same data type. Exclamation equal equal sets it to is not identical to. The greater than is greater than. Greater than equal is greater than or equal to, and so on and so forth. When comparing values, we're making an assertion, and the goal is to obtain a result that is either inherently true or inherently false. When we compare two values, JavaScript evaluates the statement and gives us back a Boolean value depending on whether the statement is true or false. So for instance, if we set an alert to 8 equal 8, that will evaluate as true. So will 8 is not equal to 9. And if we run 8 less than 1, that will give us an alert of false. To understand the difference between equal to, which is equal equal, and identical to, which is 3 equal signs, we need to revisit some of the concepts we already discussed. You already know that all of the values fall under certain data types. For example, a string of 8 in quotation marks and a number of 8 without quotation marks are similar, but they're not quite the same thing. That's what the equal 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 is meant to check. So if we run an alert that says 8 in quotation marks is equal to 8, remember this is saying is equal to, this is going to alert true. They are both 8. But if we run an alert that says 8 in quotation marks is equal to the number 8, this is going to alert false. They are both 8, but they are not the same data types. One is a string, one is a number. And if we run an alert that the string 8 is not identical to the number 8, this is going to alert true since they are not both the same data type. The other types of operators are mathematical operators. These perform mathematical functions on numeric values. In addition to the straightforward mathematical operations, plus, minus, multiplication, and division, there's some useful shortcuts that you should also know. Plus equal adds the value to itself. Plus plus increases the value of a number or a variable containing a number by 1, and minus minus decreases the value of a number or a variable containing the number by 1. So you have 3 different types of operators. You have assignment operators, which simply assign a value to a variable. That would be like the example we looked at earlier when we set the color to green. We have arithmetic operators, which this example right here is an example of an arithmetic operator. And then we have string operators. String operators are how we can combine two strings. Let me show you what that looks like. So here we have a variable called greeting. We're making the value two strings that are being added together, and then we're going to alert our greeting. You can see that when I look at this in the browser, it now says hi there. Notice how the text is slammed together, and that's because inside of my quotation marks I have no space. If I want a space to occur between these two words, I need to include the space in between the quotation marks. Now if we run the alert again, you can see how there's a space between the two words. Let me just show you a couple of other quick examples. Other things that we'll be using in the course are going to be comparison operators. Comparison operators compare two values and return a value of true or false. So if we make a variable and call it by, and we set the value to be 3 greater than 5, and we'll set an alert, you can see that we get a JavaScript alert that says false. 3 is not greater than 5. This is an example of a comparison operator. Another one that we'll be using are logical operators. Logical operators combine expressions and return true or false. Let me show you what that looks like. If I go ahead and specify here that 5 is greater than 3, and I'm going to put this inside of parentheses, and I'm going to use double ampersands, and then I'm going to put 2 is less than 4, and if we run our alert of by, you can see that now it's alerting true. Both of these statements are true. When we use the double ampersands, that's saying do this and this. So we've talked about how we can integrate some arithmetic operators into our code, but I do want to point out that the order of execution differs a little bit in JavaScript than how you might logically think it may. You can combine several arithmetic operations in one expression, but it's important to understand how the result will be calculated. Multiplication and division are performed before addition or subtraction. This can affect the number that you'd expect to see. So let's look at an example. I'll set up a new variable called total, and in our expression we're going to go ahead and type 2 plus 4 plus 10. You can probably guess that the result of this calculation should be 16. If we save this, if we look at this in the browser, you can see that the alert is displaying 16. This is how we would expect it to write. But let's look at another example. Instead of having 2 plus 4 plus 10, let's change this to 2 plus 4 times 10. Now you may think if you went through this and performed the math in the order that it appeared, you would do 2 plus 4, which is 6, times 10, which would give you 60. But because of how JavaScript performs multiplication and division before addition and subtraction, our result is actually going to be 42. 4 times 10 is 40 plus 2 is 42. If we check this in the browser now, you can see how the answer is indeed 42. In order to change the order in which operations are performed, you place the calculations you want done first inside parentheses. So if we wanted to get a resulting value of 60, we would place the 2 plus 4 calculation inside of parentheses and then multiply that by 10. If we test now, you can see that the JavaScript gives me an alert of 60. The parentheses indicate that this operation is to be done first, and then the resulting figure is to be multiplied by whatever is left over. I just wanted to point this out as it may be important as you create JavaScript applications for your web pages.